Hey guys, we are ready to kick off a big week for the market this week. As you know, we are actually entering earnings season, which is a really important time for stocks and for the overall market as we hear what managers have to say about their companies. And at the same time, we're heading into the home stretch for election season with just a few weeks left until we vote for a new president and for House of Representatives and for Senate positions. So that's an important thing that's driving our country and definitely driving markets back and forth. Stocks are just now starting to react to some of the news that's coming off the campaign trail, and we need to keep a close eye on that as we decide which areas of the market that we're going to be focused on and which opportunities we're going to be taking advantage of. When it comes to earnings season this quarter, it's particularly important to hear what managers have to say about the coronavirus crisis and how it has been affecting their companies. We're not necessarily looking at the dollar amount for how much each company earned this quarter, because this quarter was certainly a little bit different than what their normal business would be like. More importantly, what we want to see is how are managers reacting and changing the way that their companies do business in order to still be able to profit despite all of the challenges that we have right now. And then another thing that I want to be paying close attention to, and I'll be listening for on these conference calls and looking for as I read through the information from the companies, is what are our companies planning to do if we have a second wave? Now, you know, we're entering the fall and the winter season when coronavirus could be more easily transmitted, so we could see another spike or ramp up in number of cases. And so that's going to be a major risk that we need to be paying attention to, but it's also an opportunity if we are able to invest in companies that can respond to this, can keep their businesses strong, and can keep serving their customers in a good way. So real quick, I wanted to go through some of the individual names that I'm looking at this week that I think should be on your radar for possible investment, and you may want to actually build some of these positions ahead of earnings announcements. So first, I want to talk about the banks. Citigroup and JP Morgan are scheduled to report on Tuesday. That's ticker C and ticker JPM. Bank of America and Wells Fargo and Goldman Sachs on Wednesday. And then Morgan Stanley on Thursday. So this is a very important week for these big investment bank companies. Now, the fact that the market has been moving higher has certainly helped these companies, not just because of their own investments, but because they are able to bring new companies to the market through IPO transactions, and they're also able to help companies raise more capital by issuing new bonds and so forth. This is a very profitable, a very lucrative area of business for these Wall Street banks. And so while they've been struggling with lower interest rates, I think we may see a lot of good news from the banks simply because they've been able to help generate fees by helping these companies raise more capital. And that's a trend that we're going to see moving into the fourth quarter and into 2021. So I'm looking for good news to come out of the banks, and those are some areas that we may want to start nibbling on a little bit more right now. Another area, and this is very speculative, but an area that I'm starting to watch a little bit more closely is the airlines. Now, I'm not sounding an all clear. I don't think that everything is just fine for the airlines, but I do think that we may be at a place where most of the bad news has already been digested by the markets, and we could see some catalysts that help to move airlines higher. If there's a stimulus package that helps these companies remain in business and maybe not furlough as many employees, that would be a very good thing for airlines. And also, if we start to see more willingness for people to travel, that could help airlines as well. I actually jumped on the first plane or first commercial flight that I've been on since the coronavirus crisis last week, and I thought it went very well. Of course, there are new issues in place, or you have to have your temperature checked, you have to wear masks and so forth, but there are people traveling, and it's starting to help pick back up business for the airlines. So Delta Airlines, ticker DAL, reports on Tuesday. United Airlines reports on Wednesday, and both of those reports could help drive the entire airline sector higher or lower, depending on what managers say. And then another area that's important for this week is healthcare. Now, we know that healthcare is a key industry for our demographic right now. As Americans get older, myself included, we need more healthcare services, and there are a lot of great technologies that are developing in the healthcare area. So we're going to be looking at not just Are these companies earning money and moving through this crisis all right? But what are some of the developments that they've got coming along? Not just for coronavirus, but also for some of the important diseases, maladies, and health issues that are affecting Americans and really globally around the world. Johnson & Johnson reports on Tuesday, that's ticker J&J, and United Health reports on Wednesday. So those are both important earnings announcements that we'll be watching closely. And then as we move on to the election, one area that's particularly interesting to me right now is renewable power and actually the infrastructure that goes behind renewable power. Now, the power infrastructure could actually fit into both the Republican and the Democrat policies. Both parties want to see us move a little bit more towards renewable energy, and both are interested in building out infrastructure deals. But there are a couple of stocks that could really benefit if we start to see Biden leading the polls, if we start to see more of a possibility of a Democrat sweep. One of those is Quanta Services, which is ticker PWR. This is an engineering and construction company, and they focus on electrical infrastructure projects. Now, one of the reasons I like Quanta is that they've actually got a really strong backlog of projects that are already on the books. In other words, they've got business lined up for quarters to come, and they could see even more business come in as the Democrats, if the Democrats start to take a larger lead in the polls. And then another name that you should keep on your radar is Eaton Corp, ticker ETN. And this company is involved in power management technology, and they actually have focused for the company's century-long history on efficiency in helping with the electrification of America. Right now, they're looking at the industrial process, and a lot of the manufacturing processes that we have can now be moved onto more of an electrification type platform, meaning that they're able to use efficient power. And Eaton Corp is a big company behind this whole trend, and they should see a lot of business coming through from manufacturing around America. And by the way, manufacturing is one of the bright areas that's been picking up lately after the coronavirus crisis. So bottom line, this is a big week coming up, and it's important to remember that this is actually a really big market. The market has so many opportunities in different areas. So we don't want to just look at the Facebook, the Amazon, the Google, and the Tesla, the most popular names that are on most people's radar. But if you look a little bit more below the surface, there are some really big areas that we can invest in, that we can profit from, starting this week as we enter earnings season. So I hope you're ready for it. I hope you're excited about these trends in the market that we can take advantage of. And I hope you'll let me know how you're doing. So please send me an email at askzach@stpaulresearch.com. Let me know how you're doing, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.